Alright, on to the next roster review, and this one will be for Carr. So we'll just start with a quick overview. They provided a bit of context on their account. This was about a month ago, I'm afraid, so some of this might be a bit out of date, but I think I should have a good idea for what is still relevant. So they have bought loads of Lightspeed bundles, but are now a bit more choosy around those episode path, occasional Zeta pack, some for those Lightspeed bundle characters. They said they're going to get Leia. I had a quick check and they already have her unlocked. I think just missing the ult, so already done that. Now looking for things like Ben Foray, Balin, Reva will be soonish. Stranger next conquest, so maybe that might already be unlocked or just about to unlock. Possibly and then looks like they have a bunch of conquest characters coming, so would want to be prepared for them with Zetas and Omicrons, I'm sure. Satel as well, and yeah, any other business. A lot of width with the account, but maybe lacking the height and mod depth, and especially with the Lightspeed tokens coming out, continuing struggle to keep across those. So yeah, I think that's definitely something everyone's feeling, even like completely free to play. The anniversary Lightspeed tokens are just expanding rosters quicker than most people can keep up with in terms of mods. So Zetas will always be a problem. Maybe go for Gungans from the episode pass. We'll have to check on that. Potentially Glat at some point. Gas as well. Ezra. There's a lot of options here, and a few other conquest characters, Leviathan and Sith Empire. And yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of options. So I'll have a look through all of the possibilities and maybe try give my opinion on a nice farming order for all of these. So let's do a quick summary of their account. So have been playing for a year and 2/3. Is that right? That's wow, that's a lot of GP in that time for sure. Potentially from Lightspeed bundles and quite a good mod score. Yeah, so I would say that mod score isn't too bad considering the relatively short amount of time and high GP there. So I think they've done a reasonable job of keeping on top of that. But of course, Zetas they've mentioned as being a big issue. Imperial Navy Troopers is their guild, so in quite a sizable guild, 560 million. They are doing well in the raid. I think that is third from last box, potentially close to that second last box, so quite a nice get 3 income. They've got a decent personal score as well. Rote is looking good. Erodium too, so maybe at that point of looking to push up into Kyber with maybe once all of those conquest characters come. Third in fleet, what I said top 5, so I've averaged it out to third. Coliseum rank, so it was last era that they submitted for this roster review, but I had a quick check of where their Clea is at, and I think we're potentially again looking at the 30 to 60 range that they mentioned for last era. Maybe they're more consistently in the top 30, but probably around that range. Decent crystal income, raid income, and error currency. Crystals is in a place where I'd be interested to see what they're doing about the new marquee characters. Are they going to 5 stars because they're getting the episode pass? So be interested to have a look at that. And then also assault battles all done, R7s on both of these, so that's another potential area they can invest in, is pushing some of these up to R9. So let's jump straight into their account. Okay, here we are on .gg, so let's have a quick look at their current roster. So yes, just got Leia on board, so still working on the ult, I imagine. GLs, so I think we're looking mostly at Rey and Kylo, I imagine, from Lightspeed bundles, maybe similar for the other two. Jabba on board, so we are missing pretty much, we're not the 4 latest, we're missing Lord Vader, Jedi Master Kenobi, and then Ahsoka and Pirate King Hondo. A couple of those might be decent options. Quite a large roster, so I won't go too much into it. They mentioned potentially getting Reva, so they already have Grand Inquisitor, so we'd have to check on, I guess, whether they have Reva already. I do doubt it, but yeah, pretty good roster. I think there's already like a few areas that could require a little bit more investment in terms of relic delta. Like I notice like a relic 5 Embo. I don't know where the rest of bounty hunters are, so we can maybe have a look at how they're doing in terms of like relic delta, relic 5 skiff guard as well, because they did mention, I guess, unsure about, well, thinking their roster is quite wide, and maybe a little bit more focused investment could be not a bad thing at all. Like things like Night Sister Spirit up to R7 for the Great Mother's team. Oh, that's our good stuff. So yeah, too many characters to go through. Oh, I'm noticing the era units from last time, so it looks like they went to 4 stars, and they would have been level 70, so they would already have half of the gear pieces done, which was a thing I just recently found out. So maybe there's some work that could be done in these characters as well once they become farmable. But I think let's have a look at some of the journey guides that they mentioned first, and then we'll have a bit more of a look at their roster. So Bill and Skull, to be honest, they're very close. It's just some relic levels at the moment, signal data really. Bill and Skull is, I mean, might help in the push to go to Kyber. You're already working on them, so may as well finish. I'm always of the, well, personally I always prefer to work on the resource income teams before GAC specific teams, but like it's a pretty good farm, like especially getting the Great Mothers up and running. Marok is helping in terms of Riva unlock, and then you've got, he's at R6 requirement anyway, and then Shin for the team, so it's a pretty compact farm, so quite a good thing to work on. I'm actually going to skip to Jar Jar. So looks like you, I would guess, use the tokens on these two and maybe a rhodium token on Boss Nass. So again, close, but now that they're not a raid team anymore, I think there's maybe other teams you can especially spend your Zetas on now, because I think for you the problem's not going to necessarily be relics so much, but would be like Zetas and potentially mods as well. So let's have a look at Pirate King Hondo, who I think you mentioned. So we have progress, I think, from a variety of like overlapping bundles and farms. In terms of characters, aside from the new marquees, it's really just Chirrut, who you need to relic. Of course, that could be just like a rhodium token or something, and then it's the 6 new characters, so there's really not too much investment in terms of stars, especially in Captain Silbo and Vane. Yeah, so the thing with Hondo, and I think it's something we'll need to discover over the next few months, is that I think the intention is that obviously after a year characters become accelerated and you can farm these characters quickly, but that won't be coming until about August or so, maybe August, September sort of region. But the thing that has changed is that you should be able to buy these characters with Erodium Lightspeed tokens, which is what we've seen for Glat so far. Her requirements were about a year old when the era system launched, and you could buy them with Erodium tokens. What will be interesting is to see when the new Bad Batch team becomes farmable, because I think that will start to give us a good pattern in terms of how long, not farmable, when they become purchasable with Erodium Lightspeed tokens, which I don't think they are now. They are, you'll be able to get them with the Bad Batch specific tokens, but they haven't been added to the Erodium tokens yet. I might be wrong on that, but last time I checked recently they weren't. So it'd be interesting to see when they get added to the Erodium Lightspeed tokens to give us an idea of roughly when we could expect these characters to be added to the tokens, because that could maybe inform when you want to go for Pirate King Hondo. If it's maybe just a case of waiting until they become accelerated and they become purchasable with Erodium Lightspeed tokens, you can maybe hoard up a bunch of era currency and buy them when they become purchasable with those tokens in, I don't know, August, September. But we'll have to wait a bit to get that information on how long do we expect it to take for that to happen. But you've already got good progress aside from Turret. It would just be a case of saving up some Relic 9. So I do think this would be a good, maybe longer term focus. I personally would be interested to see when the new Bad Batch get added to the Rhodium Lightspeed tokens to give me an indication of what to do about this. If they take forever to get added, then maybe start slow farming in the background. But I think because you haven't made much progress to them, it might make sense to maybe wait for them to become like 1 year old and purchasable. So yeah, that's a long way of saying I think hold off for now, see what's happening with old characters becoming Lightspeed token eligible and go from there. But definitely a good target. So a farm that is eligible for these Lightspeed tokens is Ahsoka, and you have Commander Ahsoka Tano. I think you mentioned Ezra as well, you might already have unlocked, so I would probably put this as quite a high priority. You also mentioned working on Gas, you would want Rex anyway for that team. Bunch of Lightspeed tokens you could spend or farm up a few with gear. Obviously you'll have to do that for Skywalker and Tano, so you can maybe apply a bunch of tokens on like these three, maybe Tano or Rex as well. So, and you already have the troopers, of course. I think this is probably going to be quite high up my list. We've already had a look at Jar Jar. So Leviathan, this is an interesting one because I'm recording this a few days after the Lightspeed bundles got released, and it doesn't look like they've gone for them so far in terms. So I think they mentioned they are cutting back a bit on Lightspeed bundles, so may not be interested. So in terms of the ones that would be good, they wouldn't be able to buy the bundle with the R7 Darth Revan and Malik because they don't have Malik at 7 stars. But very possibly that ship bundle could be decent. I think you'd be adding Sith Assassin and Empire Trooper, and you would be getting a bunch of stars and these quite annoying ships to farm, which are like Cantina farms, and you'd be getting like a few other I can see why it's maybe not the most valuable thing in the world. You're saving the ship grind. The couple relics would be nice, but it's maybe not huge. Of course, a lot will depend on whether you already have Malgus. I expect you're probably going to be very close, because you mentioned you're close to a lot of other Conquest characters. So yeah, I would, whether you're going for the Lightspeed bundle or not, I would definitely recommend focusing on Leviathan, because I expect in your fleet shard a lot of other people will suddenly have Leviathans popping up. So I think mostly to make your life easier, because you can with like Executor still beat Leviathan, but it's a lot easier just to do the mirror with Scimitar coming out. So that might be a valuable thing now, especially because I'd expect it to become a bit of an arms race with a lot of new Leviathans popping up. I think this would be another good thing to prioritize. So yeah, I think these are the main journey guides I wanted to focus on. If we head back over to your roster, there's a few other things I wanted to check. First one is Conquest units. So yes, you do have Ezra not worked on, but I think this would be a very good argument for working on Ahsoka. You already have the Conquest characters unlocked, so there's no barrier there, and I think would be quite a nice longish term. It wouldn't take you that long, I don't think, but medium term project to work on Ahsoka rather than going for things like Jar Jar. I think going for the resource event, even though it takes you a bit longer, I think will pay out in the long term. You mentioned working on Ben Solo for Rey. Yeah, I think that would be a decent option. I am seeing a lot of interesting I guess maybe you bought the Lightspeed bundle, I don't know, but I like the 3 Omicrons on Trench there. And then we have Maul as well. So, and I think you're very close to like Bane and Quadme you mentioned. So yeah, so far pointing me towards Ahsoka. Other things I wanted to check, the Inquisitors. So I don't imagine you have Reva yet, if I could find that. No, so yeah, you've got them. think you've got the unlocked. Yeah, you've definitely got the team to unlock, especially with the Omicron and Marek. So yeah, a few months away. I think that's, not too much investment there. You already have the surrounding teams, and obviously Zeta's probably from the Lightspeed tokens. Inquisitor Barris might be a nice addition to add another 3v3 team if you want to. It can be decent with these two, just as a nice little extra team to work on. Another thing I wanted to have a look at is, I guess, all of the other... I wanted to look at the current era units. So you are doing the 5-star thing, I would guess. So you've got a 5-star Clea. I read the era layers, era level 25. That is their, I guess, actual level. I don't actually know which one's their era level and which one is it. I assume era level 19, maybe, if I was to guess. So 5 stars. So that is, I think that's definitely the way to go about things for a roster like this. You already have quite a good crystal income, so I think you should more than be able to afford taking these characters up from 4 stars to 5 stars. And will give you a whole bunch of Kyber Lightspeed tokens, and also these characters are relics. So I don't think you have them unlocked already, but Luthen could be another conquest character to focus on, because you will be getting these characters at relics, even though they won't be a relic 7 afterwards. So that would be another guy to focus on. And it means you will have a bunch of Kyber Lightspeed tokens in just over 6 weeks, which would be good for using on things like the Ahsoka farm. Be perfect for that. If we went over here, slap one on Huyang, you could literally just finish it, apart from General Skywalker and Commander Ahsoka. So you might not even have to farm them. Just when you get those tokens, that might be a decent use. Of course, you wouldn't be able to use them a lot for Hondo, because you probably won't be able to spend them on the likes of Silvo and Bane. But I guess this would be a good target. Maybe some of the Leviathan requirements as well, Sith Empire Trooper. So nice knowing that you'll have that. Well, I assume you'll have that. You've got the first character to 5 stars. I imagine the intention is to keep on going with that. So I think now we'll have a bit more of a general look at the current, I think, in terms of maybe where to invest a little bit more. So we've got a lot of raid investment with like Relic 9, Scorch, and I would imagine Tarkin. A decent sort of activity might be to, instead of relicking up new characters, take most GLs to Relic 8. Definitely Leia, Rey, and Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. And to be honest, even up to Relic 9, they'd be able to make good use of that. I think really doubling down on the teams you have should help with that sort of Zeta crunch a bit. Instead of using signal data and relics on new teams, invest a little bit more in what you already have. Save those, and of course you've already got the Zeta investment in there, and I think stuff like that will slowly help you get up into Kyber, I imagine. I like that there seems to be a bit of TB investment as well with the Relic 7 Merrin and the Great Mothers, which is good to see. You also mentioned Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, possibly for TW, but also maybe for TB as well, with that R8 mission they can do on Mandalore. You've already got 2 Zetas on Scout Trooper, which is quite nice. So other things like take Chrysanthemum up to Relic 8, maybe even Relic 9. Same with Bausch, Relic 8. These are just, if you are looking for ways to, I guess, sort of deepen your roster, these could be quite good ways to do it. Like Starkiller as well. You mentioned getting the Stranger soon. Actually, I don't think, no, you didn't have the Stranger in the Conquest unit view, so R8 Starkiller as well as the attacker there could be good. You're getting quite a good guild event raid currency 3 raid. I can't speak now, but you're getting the Mark 3 raid currencies, so you should be able to invest quite a bit of like R8 and R9 material. Other bits and pieces, things like Jedi Knight Revan, maybe if you're interested in the Satio farm, like General Hux up to R7 for your Starkiller team, just for that little bit extra survivability with Relic Delta. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other relic 5s. I think you had Malicos, I'm pretty sure. Was it mixed without Zeta? Is that? Oh no, you do have Malicos, so Sergeant already. So yeah, I think investing a bit more into that team. Again, Malicos up to R8 if you can. Calcastus as well would be decent, and then I guess whoever you can spare. I don't think you've got Maul as well, so maybe a few Zetas and Maul for your Malicos team. So yeah, I think there's quite a lot you can do with your current roster, maybe while you're working on longer term things like Leviathan, Ahsoka, Pirate King Hondo. There's definitely a bit more investment that you could do while you're catching up on things like Zetas, and also R9, like Peridia Pals, but definitely before that R9 Jewel of the Fate bros as well. So yeah, I think definitely a bit of relic investment that could be done. So I think that's it in terms of the roster. We've got a Zeta on Maul, which is interesting. So, I guess, yeah, the new era unit. So Maul, if you are unlocking the Stranger, of course you'll have to wait until his event comes around. We don't know when that's going to be. A lot of guesses are like 6 months maybe from when the era ends. So I think it'd be a good idea to sort of slow farm all of the new era units when they come out. Stormtrooper Luke is already farmable. Of course, we have the era battles, which will help with a bit of shards. So I think slow farming these guys, maybe you don't have a lot of other farms to do, so that could be a good thing to do in the background. And ones to invest in, I think Darth Vader, because you'll be able to split off a Stranger Starkiller team and then have Empire with Darth Vader team. Stormtrooper Luke only if you're looking for an extra 3v3 team. You already have Leia, so it's maybe not the most pressing. Inquisitor Barriss could be decent. You mentioned Afra. I don't know if you actually have Afra. I'm not. So have we look at Scoundrel? Maybe you got the Lightspeed Bando. Oh, you did get the Lightspeed Bando. Oh yeah, so it would just be Afra relics. To be honest, I don't know how well the new team with IG-90 is doing. I think it'd be a good idea to have a look at how that does this 5v5 season. That might inform you onto whether you want to invest into Afra and IG-90 as well, who you will already have some of the gear pieces for, at 4 stars. So that could be another possibility. So what I'll do now is put together a quick plan, a sort of order on how to farm things. So I'll do that now. Okay, so I put together a quick plan. So next up, first up really, so we're nearly at the end of February, so I've just started with March. Finish Balin for sure, already made a lot of good progress there. You're getting the Stranger, I think, after this coming conquest, so in about a week's time, so definitely go get him. And I guess while you're at it, maybe work on some relics for the team as well. Maybe bump up Starkiller's relics would be a decent idea. And I guess it's fairly light in terms of I guess you're gearing up 2 new characters, but as I mentioned previously, I think start to go through your roster and identify areas that you can improve relics a bit. I've marked out a month for doing this, but when you have sort of spare relic mats and signal datas, I think it might be worth going through some of your GLs, especially Rey, Leia, OKR, GLs like those, and bumping up their relics a bit, and a few of the other characters on their teams that we mentioned as well. So I think through all of this, I think it's a good idea to start really focusing down on your roster, adding a little bit more height to it, and that will also just, instead of just suggesting a whole bunch of new teams to go and farm, knowing that you already have a bit of a Zeta crunch, I don't think that would be the best thing in the world. So I've kept it quite light in terms of new teams, probably too light, but I think the idea being is that you can go back and invest a bit more depth into some of these teams, apply some Zetas that you've missed out on, improve mods, that sort of thing. One of the big targets that I have included is Ahsoka. So if you are going for the 5 characters, 5 stars, and getting the 5 Kyber Lightspeed tokens, those should come out in just over 6 weeks already. So 7 weeks actually, technically. So after you get the 5th marquee up to 5 stars, you should be able to get those 5 lightspeed tokens, and I think it would be a good idea to use those, or maybe some Erodium lightspeed tokens you've built up on the Ahsoka requirements, and then it'll just be a case of General Skywalker, Commander Ahsoka Tano as well, and of course you'll need quite a bit of R9, so it's quite a big relic investment, so maybe worth investing relics in this before doing some more relic delta work. And of course you'd want Ezra Bridger as well, so I think this would be a very good use of all of those tokens, and also give you another resource event, which is why I've prioritized it quite far up, because I think you can unlock it quite quickly. Next up then, I think it's, I mean, to be honest, you could switch this to before Ahsoka, and that'd be fine as well, because you'd just be losing out on like a month of rewards, which at the end of the day doesn't really matter in the long run. But again, focusing on all of the conquest units that you've just got up and running, Ben Solo would be a good one for Rey, as you've mentioned. I don't think this is the most important thing if you're also going for Ahsoka. I guess the issue being is that Ezra is really the power behind either Rey or Ahsoka. Without Ezra, either of these are much more beatable. Rey can still have some good viability, especially because she usually benefits from a datacron as well, so I think probably still worth working on Ben Solo at some point, but maybe isn't the most important thing in my mind. But again, continuing going on that sort of relic improvement, just going back through your roster and adding a few more relics here and there. And then you've mentioned about 4 or 5 months until you lock Bane, Queen Amidala. Those are important enough that I think, yeah, relic them up, save some Zetas, Omicrons for as soon as you get them, which I've just guessed maybe around June. And then this is also about the time you've mentioned that you'll get Reva. So yeah, I think throughout all of this time, save as many Zetas, Omicrons for when you get that huge influx of conquest characters and Reva, which is why, yeah, again, I haven't recommended that many new characters and teams in this region here. And then in the background of all of that, I think it would be a good idea to work on Leviathan, farm the ships up in the background. You don't have too much more in terms of investment. Yes, you'll have to get Malik and Revan, but I think you'll probably want to have Leviathan sooner rather than later for your fleet shard, which I would guess would have a lot more Leviathans. Yeah, so I think worth working on in the background. And as I mentioned, Pirate King Hondo might be worth trying to line that up for later, past August or something, depending on when we can use lightspeed tokens on his requirements, but I think would be another good long-term farm, of course, and presumably we'll get another raid around this time as well, so definitely worth thinking about that. So yeah, that's it in terms of the review. Let me know your thoughts, any questions, and thank you very much for letting me have a look at your roster. Alright, on to the next roster review, and this one will be for MiniHissi. So, a bit of context that they've provided. So they've spent about $30 in total, Hyperdrive bundle, couple of Lightspeed bundles, but are maybe considering going for the episode pass for the next era. This was sent in about a month ago, so it could be that they're already doing that for the first episode of this era. They were in about the sort of top 290 to 250 there, so about getting the 100 a day. Maybe that's changed for the start of this era. I'll maybe have a look at their Clea to guess how well they're doing currently. So they're currently about to do a lot, so about to get Jabba, Leia, SOKR, and then also Bo-Katan Mandalore, Jedi Knight Castus, Great Mother, so a lot on the plan. So I think they are close to quite a few things, and then getting Reva in May, getting Reva ready by May. I'm not sure whether that means unlocking Reva in May or getting the team up able to do the special mission in territory battles, because fun fact about this account in this roster, they're actually in one of my previous guilds for my main account, Judge Wick. So I know for a fact, because I worked on them, that they were already doing the Riva mission, so presumably are already getting shards from that. So I don't know whether they need more people to do that, or you're just going to get Reba in May just due to other people doing the mission. So I'll have a look at that. And then in terms of other notes, so they have done 3 proving grounds, still a few other battles they can't do. I think some of what they're working on here should solve that, but that might be something to consider in terms of priority. Fury class being the difficult one. They need to get a score of 2.5 million on the new raid. We don't know exactly when that's going to be coming out, but my guess is that working on the new eras, maybe this era, most definitely the one afterwards, will help get you there. So not too much we can do aside from maybe hoard a little bit, but I wouldn't. 2.5 million is less than 1-9 team, so I wouldn't worry too much about this. You should be able to get that score quite quickly no matter what the raid is. And then yeah, they have a whole load of Omicrons and Zetamats hoarded up, which is very unusual but good to see. So I think they could potentially do a lot of these farms quite quickly indeed. In terms of their account stats, so just under a year in terms of active days going by Galactic War battles, so pretty good progress within that year for relatively little spent. So about $30. They might spend some more on episode pass but it's not like they've spent a whole bunch on Lightspeed bundles, so quite good development within that year. Jaja Wick, again, this is one of my previous guilds, so I'd be interested just to see how they're getting on. Mod score is decent, could always be improved, but I think some of what they're working on should help with that. Guild raid score is decent, 180 million, and they're hitting that 2.5 million roughly at the moment, and I imagine should be able to do that whenever the new raid comes out. Return of the Empire decent. Bronzium 3, I think as soon as they start unlocking a bunch of the GLs that they're close to, they'll be able to start shooting up the ranks. Really good fleet performance. I think they said 1 or 2, so I just went with 2. Colosseum rank, I don't think that's quite correct. Let me double check that. Actually no, this was my guess, judging by how high a level their Clea currently is. This isn't what they said because that was for the last era, so I've just guessed top 30. It might be top 60 instead, but they should be in that ballpark judging by how high their Clea is. Really good focus on assault battles, quite a few CT3s, and I think should be able to start getting a few of these other ones up to CT3. R9 Jewel of the Fates and Peridia Patrol. I think I also had a quick look over the roster and I think I saw some R9 Peridia Patrol boys. I don't know what to call them, and so they might be close to that as well. So let's hop on over to the roster and have a look. Yeah. Right, so yeah, here we are. So yeah, straight away I did notice they have got the 3 R9, so maybe have just gotten them to R9 and are able to do the R9 tier. Either that or I just misread what they wrote. So looks like a very strong focus on guild and assault battles or resource events early. Notably no GLs yet, but they definitely look like they're in a position to really start pushing for GLs. So yeah, assault battles, they've got both of the new ones up at R9. They've got the stuff for Executor, so I think they have Executor unlocked. Aside from that, just a solid focus. They've got Inquisitors up at Relic 5, so I think this is part of their being Reva ready, and then a few other sort of Lightspeed bundle, Lightspeed token rather, purchases and stuff. Jedi Knight Calcastus looks like they've just unlocked him, another guild focus, and yeah, I think that's most. So interesting, they've got a Zeta on Darth Vader Joe's End. It's interesting. So 3 stars from the last time because I don't think they were buying the episode pass back then. Seen some Lightspeed tokens. We've got Great Mothers, looks like they're working on them. Yeah, so let's start by going through a few of the journeys that I've picked out. So the first one I mentioned was Jabba. Yeah, so looks like they're getting very close. So still a few that could be Lightspeed tokens. So Bausch and Fennec. They have Outrider, so it's a case of like 1, 2, 3 relics. Essentially, then these up to Relic 5 and Relic 7 after the Lightspeed tokens. So very close to them. Maybe they could start to... they're already at gear 12, so might not want to spend Lightspeed tokens on them, but it should be relatively easy. So yeah, definitely within striking range of Jabba. Just a few more relics. Leia is another thing they should be close to. So I think a little bit further in terms of relics. They've got a lot of like the Relic 7s to go. They're already at relics, but will require a lot of signal data and stuff to get up there. We'll be able to use, like, again, Bausch Lightspeed token Drogon. I presumably didn't use the Rebel one on him, so we'd have to work on him. So yeah, a little bit further from Leia. Akbar will be a Lightspeed token like literally today as I'm recording this, so a fair bit of work still required, but again, it's pretty close. I think they definitely look set up to start really focusing on GLs, because they've done a lot of the guild stuff, the assault battles. So I think it's maybe time to start focusing on the really powerful teams. Essentially, that do require a bit more investment, but they should have quite a good income. SWGOH very close as well. Finalizer, because they didn't go for the Finalizer Lightspeed bundle, I'll have to check how they're doing in terms of first order ships to unlock that. Looks like it'll be the only hold up. So far, Jabba's looking like the closest, then SWGOH depending on Finalizer, but Leia is still worth working on. Executor they already have. Bo-Katan Lightspeed token on Paz when that comes out in April. And then, yeah, not too much investment required in IG-12 and Grogu. They might be getting Lightspeed tokens from the era, so IG-12 and Grogu would be a good shout. Already have Jedi Knight Cal Kestis unlocked. Ahsoka, I just always like to check. I imagine they'll be quite far away just because they've just started proving grounds. So Ahsoka will be the big hold up. So even though they've made decent progress, probably not worth going for her. Profundity could be a good option actually. They already have Radis. Maybe that was what they used the Rebel Lightspeed token on, I'm not sure. Mon Mothma at gear 12, and then yeah, it's just a case of essentially it's like relicking a team is the way I like to think of it for Profundity, but you get something that's more valuable. You get a ship, which tends to be more impactful when it comes to GAC. And also you can use in Squad Arena and Fleet Arena, and also Profundity is really great at low stars, so you don't need to invest the crystals in that ship. Balin, just because they mentioned Great Mothers, quite a bit of investment required there. I'd maybe focus on some of the GLs before. And yeah, I'm often not a huge fan of going for Balin super early, just because I don't think focusing on GAC early, and he is a very GAC orientated team, is that wise. I think by all means Great Mothers is a quite good early team, late early mid game team, because they are good in conquest. They have their assault battles, so maybe not the first thing to farm, but definitely worthwhile going for quite early on. And then Rey, they also mentioned the Rey Lightspeed bundle, and yeah, so it looks like they picked up one of them, so still require a little bit of investment. And to be honest, because they don't have Ben Solo, definitely not priority. So let's hop back to the roster, and there was a few things that I wanted to check. So first is ships. I think we want to have a look at first order ships. Yep, so looks like they're really getting close. I can't remember, I can never remember the requirements for Finalizer. Let me double check. Okay, so yeah, Kylo Ren's Command Chateau, it is just the first order TIE Fighter, which I think you already have. The Bounty Hunter ships you will already have from Executor. TIE Silencer, yes. TIE Advanced, I can't for the life of me remember. I think that's Vader's ship. Yeah, so I think it's literally just this ship already at 6 stars. So I'm going to guess you're if you're 6 stars refreshing, let's say you're a month away from getting that unlocked, and then you also just had a few relic levels required, one up to R7, a couple from R5 to R7, so very close to SWGOH. So yeah, it looks like, I mean, I'd probably still go for Jabba first, just because you're not that much further away and you get that resource event. So I guess when this token comes out, I think end of March, worth going for. Maybe you could squeeze in SWGOH before, but I think Jabba would definitely be the priority, and then SWGOH, and then Leia would be my thoughts on that. In terms of a few other things, so I wanted to have a look at active error units, not in ships, which don't exist. Yeah, so do have error level 25 and 5-star Leia. So I wonder if they're going for that 5-star approach for Cassian, which would be 5 lightspeed tokens at the end, which would be great, and also the team at relics, which would also be quite nice. Not really much I can do in terms of planning for that. They won't have Luthen, but yeah, always nice to have more characters at relics, and especially the lightspeed tokens. And it also shows me that they'll probably be getting quite a lot of error currency. With level 25, that could be enough for top 30 in a lot of shards. Maybe it's not in your shard, but you could be getting a lot of good error currency there. In terms of previous era units, yes, all just at gear 12. Probably not super worth working on them. I think you've got a lot of other stuff to be working on. Darth Vader is always good, but yeah, it will be a while before they're farmable anyway, so probably won't be in my sort of 6 months plan that I like to do. Other things, Inquisitor, get rid of these guys. So yeah, we've got the lightspeed tokens ones up to relic 5. You've got Grand Inquisitor, you've got Marok. If we hop on over to your guild, my previous guild, so I know things can change over time in terms of who's in the guild, but definitely I unlocked Riva, I think, through this guild, so I know a lot of people definitely have her up and running. But yeah, I guess maybe there's been a bit of turnover, so maybe there'll still be a while until you unlock Riva. I guess the thing to check would be Grand Inquisitor. So if we start by relic level, this would give an idea. So yeah, I think, there's like 35, so I don't know, you're maybe getting about 30 shards a time. I don't know how long you've been in the guild for. I guess we can check. Quite a while. So I imagine, so I think when you say Riva ready by May, I think you mean ready to have Riva on your team. So I think that's definitely a good plan. So yeah, that's looking good. Other things to have a look at, I think maybe let's have another look at ships. So in terms of squad arena, fleet arena, executor, you're still getting top 5 most days. It might be worth considering. Definitely don't do anything about it, but maybe have in the back of your mind, hoard up crystals, see how you do against Leviathans at 7 stars, because with the recent Leviathan lightspeed bundles, might be worth really investing more into your executor in order to get a more consistent Leviathan counter, like into the star levels, but also you might want to invest into some of the pilots, and also the Mark 6 interceptor. I don't know if you have that, but the Sith Empire Trooper ship, if we can just find that. Yeah, so you don't have it unlocked, but the Mark 6 interceptor might be worth just farming up. I don't think you need to have it at any real level, you just need to get its reinforcement ability. I think that gives tenacity up, so you might just want to make sure that you have a good Leviathan counter for when more Leviathans start to pop up in your fleet shard, which I imagine they would, given that the lightspeed bundles just came out like last week. So that might be something worth considering. Executor is probably your most consistent counter, so no need to work on another ship for that, but definitely maybe think about beefing it up a bit to handle more Leviathans. other bits and pieces. Can just have another quick look through the roster to see if anything stands out. So yeah, we've got like Chrysanthemum, R5, no Jabba yet, but I always like to recommend taking Chrysanthemum a bit higher once you do unlock Jabba. Some sort of good raid investment with the Empress Nest and stuff. But I think you're good in terms of raid, and I think you're really in like GL locking phase, like maybe even Jedi Master Look at some point in the future as well. Obviously after the 3 that was mentioned, but you've got Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, so would be a good shout. Yeah, and I think that's everything in terms of the roster. I'll just hop on over to a quick plan that I'll make up, and yeah, let's do that now. Alright, so I put together a real quick plan. I think a lot of it is what you've already mentioned, but maybe building off on it a little bit afterwards. So in terms of priority, in terms of the GLs, I do think Jabba worth getting definitely by the end of March when the Bausch and Fennec Lightspeed tokens drop. You don't have that much work to do otherwise, but I definitely try get ready for essentially the day those drop and save up a bunch of relics and then start to unlock Jabba from that date, just because of the great resource event that he has. Alongside that, I think you could be working on SWGOH. You can maybe even unlock him before Jabba and still unlock Jabba at the end of March, because you are very close and just really need the command shuttle for the finalizer. I think because you have all of those Zetas hoarded up, you're pretty much set up to go on a huge like GL spree at the moment, if that's such a thing, because you've done the groundwork, you've got your assault battle teams, you've got your raid teams, you've got the Zetas, which is normally a big issue. So I think you're really well set up to just really focus on a few GLs in a row and just get those high-end teams up and running, and also their various like resource events. In terms of the conquest proving grounds, I think Jabba, especially at high enough relics, should be able to do those proving grounds, especially with Relic Delta now. SWGOH, I'm just about to test that on my new account when proving ground starts next week. The only GL I have at the moment is SWGOH, so I'm interested to see with Relic Delta how many proving grounds is he able to do. I expect it'll be a lot more than he used to be able to do, so yeah, interested to see how that goes. Leia will pretty much guarantee every proving ground, so if you really are worried about that, maybe bump Leia up a little bit earlier in terms of the priority. You do have the most to be working on, but she is probably one of the best GLs in the game, so could always work on her earlier than I've mentioned here. I've just put a little bit of a break in May to focus on like Bo-Katan when her Lightspeed tokens for the Mandalorian characters come out at the end of April. Third sister, this is when you said you'll probably be unlocking her, so it makes sense to work on her. And then also one thing to bear in mind is that if you are going for the 5-star characters, you will have 5 Kyber Lightspeed tokens from the era, so you could really use those to help accelerate your Great Mothers team. I think you already have Great Mothers at Gear 12, but you can slap one on Morgan and Night Sister, and then also maybe have some for like the Leia farm, like for Drogon. Drogon would be an excellent Lightspeed token, as would, I guess, the others maybe less so, because you don't need them. Nisa and Drogon would be good Kyber Lightspeed tokens. Morgan, Night Sister, Spirit even, because you really want her up to R7, so I put like 1 month apart just because it's easier to organize things, but I think you could go for Leia a lot earlier if you wanted to, especially with those Lightspeed tokens to accelerate things, and also you'll be getting Erodium Lightspeed tokens from error currency, so yeah, if you really wanted to, you could move Leia way forward, and I think you could unlock her quite quickly if you really focused with all of those Lightspeed tokens. And then afterwards, I think you'll be at the point of being quite close to profundity. It's always good, in my opinion, to unlock these ships as early as possible, and even if only at 4 stars, profundity at 4 stars is really good and will help in Grand Arena mostly, but also will help in Fleet Arena. Might make those like Executor matches easier, make those profundity mirrors easy with profundity. And then also, I think this is probably about the time you'll want to start to be focusing on the next raid, which you mentioned is a goal. And I think in reality, you could do this well before June, just because of all the lightspeed tokens, the zetas you already have. So I think you should have a lot of room to really focus on the next raid. And then after you work on profundity, Jedi Master Luke is, I think of him, he's like the free extra that you get by working on like profundity, Jabba, Jedi Knight Luke as well, because once you have all of those, it's essentially just like Jedi training Rey that you usually need to farm. And maybe there's a few other characters as well, but he's normally quite easy to get after working on everything else, so that might be a good approach. And you also already have Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. And then Balin, I stuck in there as a wild card, because if you are going to work on Great Mothers, and maybe you do have some more Kyber Lightspeed tokens spare, they might be well placed on Shin and Marek. And then you've got another good GAC team. I don't personally tend to focus on GAC that early, but if you are interested in that game mode, I think, yeah, if you're already working the Night Sisters, I think that could be a very good focus. So yeah, that's it in terms of the plan. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope you found it helpful, and thank you very much. All right, hello. We're on to the next roster review, and this one will be for Error. So just a little bit of background on their account from the context they provided. So they are a medium spender, mostly Lightspeed bundles and monthly. I think potentially a bit of Coliseum spending and perhaps some other stuff as well, but yeah, medium spender overall. Their plans, so this was submitted I think over a month ago at this point. I've got a bit of a backlog. So from a very brief look, I think they already have Jabba. Don't have Executor, but that's because I'm pretty sure they have Leviathan from all of those Lightspeed bundles which dropped, which I imagined Tate took precedence over Executor. Account cleanup, I guess we'll have to see where that is. I suspect Leviathan maybe changed a few plans around that. And then Balin, Rey, Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, JMLC, Lord Vader. So that's most of the GLs there, but we'll have a look at the plans overall. And of course their mod progress is low, being that they are, I assume that's 7.5 months old. We can call that 8.5, 9 months at this point. So yeah, a lot of GP, a lot of Lightspeed bundles. So yeah, obviously mod score will be lacking. So they have Jabba now, so that would be great, but it's just going to be a case of prioritizing those mod refreshers and maybe eyeing up GL Hondo at some point soon, because we finally got that R9 tier. And from the communications, and I didn't think this was going to be the case, we might be getting be able to run both of the R3 and R9 tiers. They said at the moment you can only run either, which apparently is a bug. So if you can run both of those tiers, then the Pirate King Hondo event is huge. An incredible amount of mod materials if that does pan out to be able to do 2 battles of each, but we'll have to wait and see. They have a bunch of Omicrons, Erodium Lightspeed tokens. This is a while ago, so I imagine they have spent them, but they are, I think I've seen just from general Discord chats that they are now in the top 10, so are getting 1,000 error currency a day, so I imagine still have plenty of Erodium Lightspeed tokens. So let's head on over to their stats. So have been playing, for about that 7 or 8 months, 9.4 million, which is a lot for about 3/4 of a year. And of course that will be mostly due to Lightspeed bundles, hence the low mod score. Bloodthand Syndicate, so 326 million. Decent sized guild. I think they're definitely quite a bit bigger than average, but I think they are an officer in this guild. Raid score, I would say that's decent. That's, I think, box 5. Personal raid score on par, just a bit above average actually. Return of the Empire, that looks good. I think they're just up into Rhodium, potentially fighting to stay there this season, but I imagine with an account this size and a bunch of GLs, they'll be able to stabilize in a Rhodium fleet rank between 1 and 2. That's very well could be 1 now if they do have Leviathan. Colosseum rank, they did mention they were in the top 10, I believe, and that's just from what I've noticed on Discord, so I hope that's correct. But yeah, so 1,000 error currency a day, good crystal income, raid currency. I mean, this could improve, but maybe for the next raid that might be something to focus on. Definitely getting this currency up for someone who is spending a fair amount and has that breadth in terms of their roster. They could definitely benefit from a lot of Mark III and really piling on those R8s and R9s, which would come from that, so that might be a future focus. Assault battles, good coverage. Again, this is a month old, so I would expect this would be CT3, and then potentially a few others might be a little bit higher at this point as well, and I'll check in on these guys. But overall, good assault battles, and they have Jabba. So let's head on over to their account. Alright, so yeah, in terms of GLs, we have Leia, Jabba, so Carr, and Jedi Master Kenobi. The first thing that is standing out to me is the R7s. I think that's definitely fine, but as you're moving up into Nerodium, especially for Leia and SOKR, Jabba may be more for Return of the Empire, and I guess that probably wouldn't be a big concern, but definitely for these two, that could maybe be part of the account cleanup that you mentioned, focusing on slightly higher relics for these guys. Definitely can benefit from R8, probably even R9 with relic delta, could be a good thing. And then it's looking like a lot of the other things on the roster are for the various journeys. So we have Leviathan, I presume Lightspeed bundles. I don't know which ones they were able to get from the Leviathan ones, but looks like they should have that unlocked. The Dark Trooper Moff Gideon Lightspeed bundle, I would guess, given that it is R6, quite handy now that we have the Datacron for that, so that'd be good. Darth Bane as well, so it looks like they're picking up the Conquest Lightspeed bundles when they can. Commander Ahsoka Tano, now that's good to see, because that immediately makes me think that GL Ahsoka Tano could be on the menu, so that's definitely a good one to have. And then yeah, various requirements, various bundle relics. I'm trying to think of it. Again, things like Chrysanthemum, in terms of relic delta, definitely worth focusing on the GL teams first of all as part of any account cleanup or sort of relic push. There's definitely, I think a lot of these are either what they were from the bundles or what they are for requirements. So some, and I imagine things like, yeah, like Starkiller, it looks like you maybe just unlocked them given the low number of Zetas, and I guess potentially not, you only really need one Zeta. So yeah, like Malgus, Starkiller, I think there's definitely an argument for taking a bit of a pause in terms of new stuff, which will help you catch up a little bit on Zetas and diverting all of those resources into relicking. And I guess you can just use all of the Lightspeed tokens you're getting for new characters, or even save up for 10 at this point. Yeah, so I think there's definitely things like Malgus, Starkiller. I'd expect to even see like Hux or something down here in Relic 5. We're working on Jedi Knight Revan. Yeah, so there's R5 troopers, that's another, sorry, the zombie troopers, another thing that could be bumped up. So yeah, I think there's definitely a good amount of width in terms of the account, but there's a lot like Great Mothers that I think would really benefit from a targeted push when it comes to relicking up, because you've already got 4 Galactic Legends, you're pretty set in terms of number of teams. I think it's just focusing on those teams and looking at the era characters. You got them to 4 stars last time, so from experience from my account, that means you should have half of the gear done for these characters, which is quite cool. So there's maybe things like Darth Vader or Stormtrooper Luke you could be working on, but again, I don't think you're really hurting for like a number of teams. I think it's more the quality of each of those teams. So yeah, that's a brief look over. I've set aside some specific journeys to have a look at. So we will start with Executor, which you mentioned you're working on. And yeah, pretty much there, essentially, just a few relic levels. So definitely worthwhile just finishing this as soon as possible. I'm just going to look at the date. So we've got about a week as I'm recording this before the next Executor event. I guess you're not in a super big rush if you do already have Leviathan. Actually, I haven't even checked, didn't even have a look at ship splits. I just know that you've met the requirements for Leviathan, but don't, unless I'm missing it, yeah, don't have Leviathan, but I checked through the requirements and you do have them. So I guess in a couple of weeks you'll be able to unlock Leviathan. And yeah, definitely worth focusing on that rather than Executor and saving up crystals for Leviathan, because you do really want it to be 7 stars if you can. Definitely over Executor, and that will be your just solid Fleet Arena team. Will help in GAC as well. So yeah, no rush on Executor. Just thought I'd bring up Pirate King Hondo just to have a look, because it is quite a high spending account. Is there any way of pushing towards this? And you do actually have a lot, or most, you've pretty much all of the old requirements at relic levels apart from Turret, and Turret could just be a lightspeed token. So maybe not something to think about straight away, but in about, I think, August, September this year, maybe more September, all of these marquees should hit the 1 year mark. And maybe at that point they'll start getting added to lightspeed tokens. We're still to see, actually, because I don't think Bad Batch have been added to Erodium lightspeed tokens. I'm actually just going to quickly check that on my account. Yeah, so as I'm recording this, they're still not purchasable through the Erodium lightspeed tokens that you can buy with Error currency. I'm very interested to see when the new Bad Batch get added to those tokens, if they do, because that will give us an indication of when we can expect new farms and marquees to be added to those tokens. Is it going to be a year afterwards? Is it going to be a year after the final marquee of the era came out? It'd be good to have an idea of timelines, because I do think Hondo should be a priority in terms of mods, especially with the R9 tier that we now have, as I mentioned. But you may be a little bit more efficient, especially because you don't have a lot of the shards, just holding off until later in the year and then really going hard with tokens, etc. But I think definitely this year, I think Hondo would be a great target just for the mods. Ahsoka, so you do have, wow, yeah, most of the requirements, and we're just talking about relic levels. This is an interesting one, because I think at the moment it seems to be that a real limiting factor is relic depth in your account, and obviously this would require a lot of R9s, but in the same way this will get you a return on investment and access to more relic 9 material through Ahsoka's event. So, and you are very close, and like, again, this could just be a lightspeed token, then you've got them all at relics and it's just relic levels. This might be another thing to focus on rather than pushing for new farms or relicing new characters, just to get that event. And also, as I'm recording this, Ezra will be a bonus drop in a few days, in about a week. So perhaps you might really be able to accelerate getting Ezra. I don't know how far along you are when it comes to Conquest. I don't know if you're doing Conquest Plus Pass or something like that, but it might be when you do the bonus drops in about a week, it might be a good idea to, I guess, see how far you get. I think it might be on Cantina, so it might be quite a good one to push if you can, and see how far you can get along with Ezra. If you can get within striking distance, it might be worth adding Ahsoka to your plans at some point, just because I think if you get Ahsoka, you really do want Ezra to have the complete team. Otherwise you are really just getting her for her event, because she's not amazing without Ezra in GAC or in other game modes. You mentioned you're a TW officer. She is decent in TW with the 2 Omicrons on Sabine and General Syndulla, and is probably a bit better in there without Ezra compared to GAC, but you probably still definitely want Ezra. And Skull, you also mentioned this should definitely be another target just for the Great Mothers. Marok 7, maybe that's for doing Reva in territory battles, the Reva mission. And yeah, I think another nice target just to sure up another team, but mainly I think it'd be nice to get these guys R7. Bow will be pretty straightforward with the Lightspeed token coming out. So yeah, there's a few other teams you can pick up, but aside from these, which are quite quick farms, I think it'd be really great just to focus on your existing roster. And also you could easily pick up Tarfo. You might just have to farm his shards, apply Lightspeed token. I think you're getting 1,000 Era currency a day, so you might even just want to apply the Erodian Lightspeed token and Tarfo and get the 6 stars done, just because you might want to unlock Jedi Knight Calcastus sooner rather than later, but I don't think that will matter too much. So that's in terms of farms. I think I'm still very much pointing towards the focus on relics and then maybe some nice long-term targets for Ahsoka and Pirate King Hondo, rather than getting characters like C or things like that wouldn't really add too much. Like, I didn't actually check the journey for Jedi Master Luke, but I imagine there was a bundle, so I'm just going to check how far you are for him. Yeah, so you did get the bundle and pretty much there with JML and also with Rey. So yeah, of course, with all of the bundles, you're so close to so many things, but I do still think it's better to go for the high value stuff, especially things like Hondo eventually, even though that might not be for like another 6 months. And maybe Ahsoka, push up the assault battles. Definitely things like, if we head back to your roster, like it's like Padawan Obi-Wan, like these guys to R7. I think really focus firstly on adding relics to characters that will get you resources, so like those assault battles, and then maybe trying to push a few of the other assault battles up to CT3 just to get that little bit extra signal data. It's not much, but it does add up over time. Get those assault battles done, really sure up your resources, and then look at things like Balin, definitely getting the Great Mothers up and running at least R7. Things like Bane up to R7, Starkiller was R5, so I think there's a lot of work that could be done on the existing teams, and then focus on the bigger stuff. So I think that would be a good route forward. I think I'd also like to check on your Inquisitors, because I suspect you're maybe going for Reva unlock. Yeah, looks like you're kind of heading in that direction. 7 Marok, R7 Grand Inquisitor, 7 Sisters. So yeah, I think you seem to be an officer in the guild, so yeah, it does seem like a good option. Other things I wanted to check. I want to check the recent era units. What is your star strategy? So yeah, you're going for the 5-star route, which I think is genuinely the most efficient, definitely packing on the era levels so far and maintaining that top 10. So that will give you another 5 relic 5 characters, and also what was I going to say, 5 and these guys relics afterwards, so that could be another route. Maybe, I don't think you'll have him yet, but things like Luthen, he'll be another, what am I doing? Yeah, like Luthen will be another character that's getting bonus drops. He's also like a bonus character in the Conquest Pass if you're buying that. Hopefully, I didn't actually check that you are progressing in Conquest. I'm sure you are with these 4 GLs. Probably quite easy to get gold crate at least. So yeah, focusing on those guys as well after the era could be a good option. And yeah, what I wanted to say was you're getting those 5 Kyber Lightspeed tokens. There's probably, I guess that's another reason just to, probably not spend a lot of Mark II on relicing new characters. Like you probably really don't have a lot of characters that you actually need to relic anyway. Really not that much already. And then diverting all of that to relic material to get things higher. So yeah, it looks like you're set up nicely. You might just have a quick look at your guild as well, see what they're doing. So this isn't your guild, I don't know. It's got like a random guy. Yeah, so TB raid. So yeah, looks like you are slowly but surely progressing in raid. Units, I just again want to check if you are focusing on Grand Inquisitor. Looks like you already have quite a few. So yeah, that looks like it could be a push. Jedi Knight Calcastus as well, definitely another option. So I'm just going to quickly put my thoughts together and put a plan. So I'll go do that next. Alright, so just put together a quick plan. I'm actually trying to cut down a little bit on time it takes for me to do roster reviews, so I'm not going to go into quite so much detail, so this will just be a quick overview. So as I mentioned, I do agree with you in terms of your own plans. I do think a look at your current roster and really adding to the relics, catching up on Zetas would be the most beneficial. I've highlighted the 2 assault battles as the ones to maybe work on first, just to get that return on investment. But then I guess continue and go into GLs, important teams like Bane, Starkiller, that sort of thing. And I put that just in March, but really I would extend that out a little bit more than that, even maybe into next month as well. And then maybe focus on the teams that you're close to. So Bo-Katan, Jedi Knight Calcastus, Balin. I put these guys together just because they are the raid, and by Reva I don't mean unlocking Reva, that's just more getting Reva ready for the special mission, which you look like you're maybe in the process of doing anyway. So yeah, so I think roster depth, guild focus, but you could equally sub in Balin here, because if you are bumping up the Great Mothers, then obviously there are requirements for Balin. Executor, be good to do sooner rather than later, just to get the ship unlocked and start getting those shards. But there's no real rush because you already have Leviathan and you already have Profundity, so not too much rush. Then in terms of bigger targets, Ahsoka, you're extremely close to, just a lot of relics and relic 9s required. But you already have Commander Ahsoka. This one is really dependent on if you think you can unlock Ezra sooner rather than later. I guess depending on how the bonus drops go, you might have an answer. So if Ezra is still looking like 6 months plus away, then remove Ahsoka, I say, from any plans in the near term. But if Ezra is soon, then it could be worthwhile. But yeah, if you remove Ezra, then you're close to JML, and I already mentioned about Hondo. So yeah, there's other ones you could sub in, like Rey, C. It just seems like too many Zetas and things that you need, and I think smaller, more focused farms and bumping up the relics could have more impact than just adding, especially characters like C. That is just, it's not going to be too helpful without all of the other stuff that you need to run that team effectively. So that's why I have a slightly more stripped back plan, but I do think it's maybe important to push back even some of the farms that you're closer to, like C, and focus on the things that can help solve some of the bottlenecks that you'll be facing. So things like signal data and mods in particular. So yeah, Hondo will be very conditional on when we can start getting lightspeed tokens from the pirates, that sort of thing. But I do think he should be quite a big priority, especially with your mods. So yeah, that's the plan. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, thank you very much for letting me have a look at your roster, and I'll see you next time.